Welcome to the High-Tech Investments News Report for Week 3. The news report covers some of the many investments projects High-Tech Investments is currently involved in so you can follow our progress. We hope you will enjoy this news feed and look forward to your comments and remarks.
Hi, Bo here and welcome back to this week's news report where now we have managed to get to week 3 of 2025. Things are looking bright. Things are hopefully also going to be better in 2024, which was a bit of a nightmare year. But things are looking good. We are ramping up. We are doing more and more. And one of the things that I want to show you also in this particular week here is things are not so bleak at all the way around. We have one EA that has actually done more than 400% in just over 600 days. Very, very good track records. It has now been, as you see, for more than 1.5 years in here, continues to track well. A lot of people are already very much aware of this particular one. You can be in on this progress here also, exactly how and which EA we are talking about. I'm going to come back to it a bit later in this particular program, because we're also going to have a closer look at a new basically concept. Expert Forex and Alex is actually running at the moment, which means that you can start with as little as $300 and basically make your way up to about $1 million. It's gonna not take as long as you would think, but again, this is a new concept. It's not really ready yet. It might even go on the copy link service here at one given point, but it's still very early days, and we have a video on that where you can go and find some more details and information later on also here in the program. Last but not least, we're also going to have a look at the PAMM accounts in here. We are quite shocked to see that pretty much all the PAMM accounts has blown more or less, and we have about 90% now of all the money that has been poured into the PAMM accounts, which is obviously not very good because we used to be around 45-50%, which means that the other ones haven't really done so well. We are still also fighting and battling with some of the basically high peaks and more than 2 years of high when it comes to the US dollar, but we are hedging, we are actually managing, and we're going to show you a bit about that also later in the program. But we're going to start in a different place here where basically Yieldnodes, what is happening, because pretty much nothing is happening even on the website itself. Now, when I say there's nothing happening on the Yieldnodes website, basically again we go on here, we go into the audit coin reserves. And you can see there's a small difference in between here. This is the total coins owned by Yieldnodes and the participators in here. And you can see there's a small change this particular week here. You can see the last one was updated on the 12th of January. And the next one here is on the 19th. But going through the masternodes running, normally we'll see that number going up. Pretty much all of them are steady as they were last week. And if we go also to the PNY, you'll notice here that the masternode balance, yes, there is a difference in it, small little one, and there's also one in here. So you can see both of them have actually gone down in the past week. So for PNY and SAP in here, and you also have the same amount of masternodes running overall. So it's looked like there is a deterioration. So on all the coins in this particular week here, compared to what we normally see, there's a steady growth, and that obviously is not very good. We'll have to see exactly if this is going to continue or this is just for that particular 1 week. What we do know is that pretty much nothing is actually happening on the SAP coin itself. The red circle is where we left it last week, and pretty much it's just been trading sideways. There was only a bit just happening as we are doing this particular picture from the broker in here. Otherwise, everything has been very, very low, and you can also see it on the price. There's no real price movement making any change at all. The same thing actually goes for our staking. Now, last time we mentioned we had actually staking coming in the beginning of December, the last one on the 12th of December. You can see those numbers are also a bit different from what we normally get of the 280. And since then, nothing has come in. Everything is working. We updated our wallet also to see if this is running. And we can confirm that everything looks to be running as it should. But definitely there is something going on where we are not getting any new payments out. And obviously, based on the value of the coin itself here also, it is still very, very low. Now, if we go for the PNY, we can see that that has been doing quite well for entire January. So it started very early on. And also this particular time around for this week, we did 931 PNY. So a very strong January, which is a lot better than anything we saw in 2024. So we're up 3,059 as it goes right now. And the month is still not over yet. The same actually goes for Bitcoin. So again, the glass ceiling of the 100,000, we did drop down below this one. This week we actually smashed it again, and it has been standing pretty much on top, apart from a small little dip here. So just yesterday, before we were shooting this video, dropped below the 100,000 and then again pump and dump, as we call them here. So that is quite normal to see on this particular Bitcoin. And now the question is, are we going to continue to see a rise on this, or are we now going to continue again to see it leveling out around the 100,000 or even below? In the meantime, we're going to go to the Trade Explorer and have a closer look at week 3 on the 10 pair one. So this is the one that normally does extremely well. And this week has also been another very good week with $542 or 5.4% in here. And when we go and have a closer look, you'll see that this is actually the EA that has now done 400% in just 613 days in here. This particular account for the coupling service started off with 10,000 and has now surpassed, both on the balance and on the equity in here, 50,000. Currently it has a small little floating profit on loss of 283, which is not much. Again, closing profit, it says 36 for some reason, but again, FX Blue seems to get things wrong once in a while. So it is more than 40,000 or 400% that we have now in here. So again, we started off with 10, got more than 50. So I'm not exactly sure how that calculation ended up. But anyway, the monthly returns that we have, and don't forget the monthly returns, we have not increased the lot size, is still 7.6%. So it's more like 10. And the weekly return is 1.8, and most probably it's closer to about 2.5. Overall, we have trade wins, which is very, very high on this particular EA here with 75%. And obviously also trades per day is not so many compared to some of the other EAs, about 12 overall. If we have a look and see how well it's done, you'll also see that it peaks out a few times. We can see back in, this was in August, so with 1,300, then we had in October with 2,000. We again had it in November in here, so with 1,100, and then a massive one just before Christmas of 5,190. Since then, it has slowed down a bit again. Last week was 347. This week is 542. So it has improved, but not the same as the rest of our EAs we're going to look at today. They are not on top, but the Wave Liberator, even though they're all doing well, you'll also notice that they are very, very close together, especially this week on the top 5 EAs with the auto. So this is the auto cat, so basically Australian cat in here, $32, 3.2%. Closely followed by Great British Pounds CAT, $29, 2.9%, and the same here for Great British Pounds Japanese, also $29, 2.9%. Great British Pounds Swiss francs is $28, 2.8%, and then Euro Great British Pounds, $28, 2.8%. Overall, again, very, very similar results all the way through. Basically, some of the changes we have made in here has actually made that happen. So the top 5 EAs made $145, 2.9%. So it is not as high as it used to be, but the market is still a bit in the slow process. But overall, we can see that we still have our drawdown also to contend with in here. That hasn't come out of it either, similar to we just discussed in the beginning with the PAMM accounts here. So the balance 258, equities 234,000. So we started off with 220, so still very much in the positive range, and for sure it will also recover here again with lower drawdowns once we get all the ones in place. Total returns 10.9, and then monthly returns 1.2 or average on 12% if you trade this on $1,000 accounts. Weekly returns 3% on $1,000 accounts with a trade win of 67%, so very good and high. Plenty of pips have been taken also here, 45,000 plus. And then trades per day, a bit more than what you saw on the Trade Explorer. We are at 14.4 with a history of 517 days. So very strong portfolio, and you can find a lot more details and information as usual on our website. You go there, you click the individual links, it'll take you to the FX Blue site where you can then have a closer look at the individual ones to see if you want to trade some of the same currencies either on the coupling service or you want to give it a go yourself. We can also see that in the last couple of weeks here, we made 279. Last week it was 503. This week it was a bit lower with 341. So there was a dip in the profits income, but that's what happens from time to time. We haven't seen the full strength of the Forex market come to life yet. We'll see the same thing also on the RSI Liberator this week. Some of the numbers are a bit higher with Great British Pounds, Japanese doing extremely well again, $78, 7.8% just for the week, don't forget that. And Great British Pounds, Swiss francs, $44, 4.4%. Followed closely after with the Aussie US, $43, 4.3%, and then Aussie Japanese, $25, 2.5%, and then EuroCAD, $25 and also 2.5%. Overall, these top five would have made you $215 or 4.3% just for the week. So it is definitely worth having a look at some of these results in here. And this is the entire portfolio. Also, this portfolio continues to be in a bit of a drawdown, as we mentioned here before. So again, due to mostly the US dollar that came into play now about 3 months ago, it has been a long, tedious battle to get out of that one. But again, equity is just below where we actually started off. But monthly returns normally is about 1% or 10% on $1,000 accounts. Weekly returns 0.2 or 2% on a weekly basis. So still very good and strong with a trade win of 65.8. And also trades per day, it is trading a bit more with about 20 trades per day and a history of 286 days. So also this portfolio is very strong, and you can find more details and information also on our website in here. You'll see that there's more RSI accounts coming into play all the time. We send a few more also to Expert Forex to consider. They look very, very good. And then when they are on there, we basically put in on copy link service. You can go and find it with Expert Forex, and then you can link up with our signals as so many other ones are doing. And what are the results for the entire portfolio? Well, a couple of weeks back, we made 301. Last week was 384. This week is 332. So we're not at the right level as we saw here, where we're up to 6, 7, and 800 in here. But we have seen that the volatility of the Forex market has definitely not fully kicked in yet. And you can find more details also on our EAs for the Wave Liberator, the RSI Liberator, and the PAMM account that we're also going to have a look at here today. As you can see, again, a very good graph going up, up, and up. It has smoothed out a bit on here. So there's a few withdrawals also that has been made over time. And we had to basically turn them down a bit. So due to the heavy drawdowns that are in here, these were not losses for the people that haven't seen this one before. It was actually investors taking their money out. And when they do that, the PAMM accounts show up because it basically looks like a loss, but they are taking their profits out at the end of the day. Now we have 319 days of history in here, still very much in the profitability. We can see also this week we did 845, so it's definitely the best we had in the past 4 or 5 weeks. We have to go all the way back to early December to get some of the same results. But at least these are also caused by some of the hedging. Unfortunately, as you'll see, profit looks like it's not really there. But that again is because we had some investors withdrawing money, which we certainly don't recommend here at the moment. So we did talk about it in the last couple of weeks, but it looks like somebody's not really listening. You're not getting your money's worth if you're taking it out during heavy drawdowns. The only thing you do is basically risk some of the accounts for all the other investors and traders in here. So, and we don't really want to do that. So if you can hang on tight until this turns around, then yes, you can start getting yourself risk-free, but this is actually not the time right now. And as we mentioned here last week also, a lot of money has actually left. So for the PAMM account in here, we understand that you want to be risk-free, but when we are trying to trade with the money in here, we want to trade with all of it. But when you have 40 or 50,000, as we pretty much have now disappeared, so including the January one in here, then it makes it very, very difficult for us to continue that particular trading when you are missing such a large sum overall and you are still very much in trades that you haven't come out of yet. Now, obviously, I mentioned here earlier on that it looks like a lot of the PAMM accounts, you can see they have actually dropped. Now, there might be different variations for that. It could be investors has taken money out and gotten some of the accounts into trouble, as we talked about earlier. So I believe that I saw and heard Alex mention some of these items in here. So, but I could be wrong. So that's why it's only a hunch that I have in here. But definitely some of the other ones I saw they had a very high drawdown and then basically crashed out. Overall, the total account for the MAM is now 293, and we have about 263 in the PAMM account, so there's only about 30,000 left in the rest of them in here, which is obviously sad news. We wanted to add more into it, so because we could see people are very interested in it. But on the other hand, we might want to wait until this particular account comes out of drawdown, and then let's see if there's any interest in it at all anymore. One of the ones we want to put on the PAMM account is Lucky Trader, because that one is working really well for us with high profit, low drawdown. And again, the top 5 EA is Great British Pounds CAD with $47, 4.7% for the week, which is good. Euro Swiss francs, $45, 4.5%. And again, Euro Great British Pounds, $41, 4.1% with Great British Pounds. USD, $30, 3%. And then Euro CAD closing off the top 5 with $28, 2.8%. And again, that is pretty much like 10% overall. So again, for the top 5, very nice, $191, 3.8%. So overall, and that is about 12%. So in a month's time. So they are very, very good numbers. And you can also see the graph in here. The balance, we started off with 160, and we can see the equity. So even though the drawdown is fairly small, there is also some drawdown on the individual ones, but that is quite normal for this particular EA here. It has still this equity split in here between the equity and the balance, and it takes quite a few months to get over that particular one. The results itself is good. Monthly returns 1.3 or 13% if you do it on a $1,000 account, and the weekly return here 0.3 or 3% on $1,000. And look at the trade wins. Very nice, high, 70% overall, so very, very good. Trades per day is also high on the Lucky Trader, 26, and with a history now of 78 days, it's looking more and more stable all the time, 2.5 months in here. So definitely good news, and you can find more details also on this. We are just adding the first ones here now. You won't see any on the compiling service on the website, but we have put the first ones forward to Alex and Expert Forex to have a review. We have set them up already, so maybe in the next couple of days you will actually see them on site here also. They are good. Go and have a closer look at them and see if this is also something you want to copy in. Now, if we have a look and see how the week has gone, you can see that last week we did 444. This week is actually down. As we said, it's not been the best of trading weeks with 266, but it's still cashing in quite nicely, and the graph looks very impressive as always. The Bell Trader is the new boy in class here, and that one we are still struggling with a bit. We can see some of the numbers in here are doing quite well, like the Aussie USD with $39, 3.9%, which is perfect for a week. The EuroCAD also $34, 4%, and then Aussie New Zealand, $21, 2.1%. And then we're dropping down on the profits here with Euro Swiss francs, $12, 1.2%. Aussie Swiss francs, $6 or 0.6%. And overall, the top 5 has only made $111, 2.2%. And again, we looks to be missing out on a few trades in here. We have put things forward to EA Factory and Expert Forex just to show exactly what it is that we are finding or what we have issues with in here, and hopefully we'll figure out what is actually wrong. The floating profit and loss, as you can see, is very, very low. And balance, we have 16 accounts of 10,000 each. So similar setups as you have seen on the other EAs. Monthly returns is 0.5% or 5% with $1,000 accounts. So you can see that's pretty much half of what the other ones are doing. We don't believe that it's actually that bad, but we think that there's some trading that is not taking place that we need to get running. There's a lot of EAs that hasn't cashed in. So the first positive trade yet, which is also strange. The weekly return in here is 0.1 or 1% weekly return. Trade wins is also here very high with 75, which is obviously very good, but we're missing a bit of profit in here overall. We have 49 days of trading this particular one here now. So all we need is some tweaks, adjustments. Let's see what's going to come out of it in the next couple of weeks here. And let's see what EA Factory has to say about it. In the meantime, you can follow all of them on our website again. You'll see that some of them have basically taken some trades in. They haven't closed. You'll see other ones that seems to have skipped some trades, which if they would have done them all, then they would have closed again here based on the retracements we've seen, but it hasn't really happened. And that's also why we are seeing some very low numbers in here. In the beginning, we had a good few numbers. We had about 8 only running in the beginning. So good volatile market, and then it dropped. We had just between Christmas and New Year's an okay week in here, and then it dropped for the first week of 2025. Now it's up with 111, but I'm sure this particular EA can do even better in the future. Talking about the future, Alex and Expert Forex have a new trading strategy in here. So this has nothing to do with the profit retrieval process that you have seen on so many of our other EAs. So this is basically a new concept that he wants to launch in here, where we're going to start off with about $300, and then based on the settings, based on EA, which is only one trade and not multiple trades. So there will only be one trade. There will be a profit. There will be a stop loss in here. So very different from what you have seen in the past many years. So we're going to that concept. And then basically Alex has traded this particular concept up to 1 million in about 3 months. So the concept is very simple. Again, you are risking a certain amount up to 40%. But again, because you have a good profits of maybe 80% of all your trades turning positive in here, then you can basically double your accounts on every single trade in here. Or if you are losing, then you're losing about 40%. So this particular video will make sure that that one is also in the video description below. And there is a new tool for this particular one in here. This is an Excel explaining exactly what you saw on the other video. So this particular Excel will show you how you actually get to it. The values, the lot sizing, everything else will be in there. So obviously very, very interesting to see all these parts. Last but not least, there's also another free download from Alex and Expert Forex for the MetaTrader robot. Again, for the $1 million traders, they are all in the same concept in here. So these videos are definitely worth having a closer look at, see what Alex is on about. And the next couple of months, maybe all the way through April and May before any of this is going to launch full blown. Now, there's also a new video. This just came out an hour or two before we're actually doing ours in here with the new profitable Forex trading coupling service. There's a free trial still from Alex and Expert Forex in here. And obviously a lot more has now had a closer look at that, because some of them have been very unlucky with the PAMM accounts. So they are trying now to find the best signals. And you'll find that also on the Expert Forex site in here. Part of this is the top 5. Now we are normally searching, and we've done that for the past couple of weeks, where we're using the floating profit and loss at -400 as a max in here. And then we have also total negative in the last 8 weeks is 800, and then return on the drawdown needs to be at least 200. Then we set it up from high to low in here. And this is the list that we got out for this particular week here. But we notice some of the numbers is very, very high. So we had a closer look at the individual ones, just to see what was actually happening. So the ones marked in red is actually the high-tech investment coupling service. So these are ours. And obviously we noticed that there's not too many of ours in here this particular week compared to before. And that's why we needed to have a closer look. And what we found out here is that a lot of the numbers is actually not matching up with what you have on FX Blue. So if you go in and click on the FX Blue side in here, you'll figure out that the worst week in the last 8 is actually not 102. It could be 500, 600, and some of them it's even several thousand. It doesn't seem to register correctly on this particular Excel in here. The same thing also for those. They actually didn't make it within the $500 that we set up for it. These 2 of ours actually did. Then we did in for the 146, which is an extremely popular one. We know it had a drawdown. So here recently, so of quite high and dramatic, and yet it comes up with 0. So we also try to remove that one. The next one here also said 0. So, and again, this was also way beyond what was actually set up in here. So that was removed. Then we noticed ours was actually pretty okay. And the next ones again in here, these numbers did not match up. When you look at the last 8 weeks of the drawdown, they were a lot higher. And then we had another 2. We actually found one of our own that didn't seem to match. This one says the worst week in 8 was 71. This was right over 500. So we actually removed that one too. And then link 8P, couldn't find it. There's no link anymore to it in here. So I'm not exactly sure what happened. So that meant we actually made up, took all these ones away, and then added further ones at the bottom. Came out to look actually like this. So this is a bit more the right parts with the right numbers in here. And we ended up having pretty much all of them except one, which is obviously a very strong results when you're taking the real results into play. And again, you can see the numbers. You can see the number of green, 6, 5. Even you have one in here that has 0. Doesn't mean that it's any bad. It just means it's very average. But gains again, as you can see in the last 8 weeks. So still having an average of 36%. So in the past 8 weeks, it's very, very good. And then you have some in red, which is all the way down to 16, 17%. But still, I take that any day of the week, as long as the drawdowns in here and floating profit and loss is under control, which you can see, they are looking very, very sharp. And those might be some of the ones that you should be interested in. So go click on them, figure out if they actually fit your analysis and your risk portfolio in here. Add as many as you can, of course, in order to also diversify your risk strategy at the end of the day. So this is what we had for you in this week's news report. As you can see, there is still plenty of profits to be had. And now with the Alex's and Expert Forex new concept here also, it looks quite interesting. If you are starting as a trader, now also is the good way to have a look in the copy link service in here. It is expanding, especially our signals here is also getting better and better. We have come up with a new concept end of 2024 based on all the mayhem that we saw earlier in the year, both of the Japanese, the Swiss, and also now the US dollar. We're implementing that also into the PAMM accounts, but we can only do that once it comes out of the drawdown. Then the new settings will basically be fully implemented. and hopefully things will be a lot more smooth going on from there. There's still plenty of profits in there, even though we make the changes. You can see that on a lot of our signals with the copy link service. They are getting extremely strong. We are very, very happy with them, and also very proud to have spent a lot of time and effort basically to make them even more safe than they were before. So we are ready for whatever 2025 is going to throw at us. Definitely, fingers crossed, we hope so. Now, if there's anything else that you want to see in this particular channel here, then please let me know. Please also add a comment, a thumbs up in here to make sure that we stay on the YouTube algorithm. And then hopefully I'll see you again next week. Until then, bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed our news report. So please don't forget to like and add your comment below, as we would love to get your feedback. But before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to keep the notification bell turned on. That way you will never miss any of our future videos. We hope to see you back on this channel very soon.